Hi everyone, welcome back. You've caught me in the garden having a little cheeky biscuit. So I thought actually while I'm out here, I'm not going to eat because I'm going to save that for after. Because as you have joined me, we're going to continue doing a bit of reading. We're going to have a chapter from Bob Hartman's The Old Testament Tales, the unauthorized version, and then we'll have a devotional from the Indescribable devotional book. But how have you been? Have you had a busy couple of days? I know I've been enjoying the sunshine. It's been absolutely gorgeous. So I thought, what better way to have our stories than in the garden? So let's start from the Bob Hartman book. And today's story is called The Donkey's Version. And this is Balaam's donkey. When my master told me that we had an important visitor staying, I paid no attention. We'd had plenty of important visitors before. But when he told me who it was and what I was supposed to do, I could hardly contain my excitement. "Are you sure you want me to take care of her?" I asked. "There are plenty of older servants who would give anything for this chance." "No," said my master, "you're just a boy, I know, but I think there is much you can learn from this guest. And also," he added, "being young, you are perhaps more, shall we say, open to unusual things? Things that the others would find just a little disturbing." I have to admit that I was nervous when I first met her. I'd heard that the first few moments with her could be a bit of a shock. Those lips and that tongue forming those words. She was smaller than I thought she would be, but she was beautifully groomed. Her mane was black and trimmed short, and her grey coat was brushed perfectly. "So you must be my servant boy," she said, and with a shake of her head, the donkey motioned for me to come closer. It was a shock to see her speak, and I think she knew how I was feeling. "Why don't I tell you my story?" she suggested, "to put you at ease, and then you can fetch me a drink." "All right," I nodded. It was exactly what I wanted to hear. And she cleared her throat with a bray and a snort. "I was an ordinary donkey," she began, "the property of my master, Balaam. In those days, he was quite a popular figure, a mystical, magical man who put curses on people for a fee." "And they worked, these curses?" I asked. "Amazingly, yes," she grinned. "But then you're sitting here talking to a donkey, so maybe you wouldn't find that so amazing after all. It was small stuff at first, stopping cows from giving milk, chickens from laying eggs, sheep from giving birth. But as his reputation grew, so the jobs got bigger. And that's how we found ourselves on the way to a meeting with the kings of Midian and Moab." "So you were with him from the start?" I asked. "Oh yes," she nodded. "But it's not as if I had a choice, not like today. I belonged to him. He had a whip. I carried him where he told me to go. And the kings? The kings wanted to put a curse on an entire nation. The Israelites. We were off to seal the deal, but we ran into a little trouble on the way." "Bandits?" I asked. "Bad weather? Bad roads?" "An angel," she whispered. And she smiled when she saw the look on my face. "You're talking to a donkey," she reminded me. "How strange is an angel compared to that?" She had a point. "So what did the angel do?" "He tried to stop us," the donkey shrugged again. "He appeared out of nowhere in front of me. a drawn sword in his hand, and I did what any sensible donkey would do. I turned off the road and into a nearby field. And what did Balaam do? I asked. He beat me with his whip, and I could see the hurt in her eyes. I have to admit, I was surprised, she continued. Not by the beating. Balaam was not a patient man. No, what surprised me was his, how shall I put it, ingratitude. I had just, as far as I could tell, saved his magical, mystical skin. And the whip was my reward. And you told him so? I suggested. I said nothing at that moment. Not a he, not a haw. I simply turned back onto the road, by which time the angel had disappeared. I confessed to having had a moment or two of doubt. Had the angel really been there? Had I perhaps been imagining things? It was a hot day, to be fair, and heat can do strange things to a donkey with a load on her back. Eventually, the road passed through a vineyard. There was a wall on one side and a wall on the other, with a road narrowing in between. And that's when the angel appeared again. So you couldn't turn off? Precisely. The best I could do was to press up against one wall, and as I did so, I inadvertently crushed Balaam's foot against it. She smiled. It did seem like a just reward for the beating. But then he beat me again, and I decided that tit for tat with a man and his whip was not the smartest game I could play. And before you ask, no, I didn't tell him off at that moment either. The road continued to narrow, the walls pressing in on both sides, and when we reached the point where there was no longer enough room to turn, the angel appeared for the third time. I had run out of options, to be honest, so I did what donkeys do when they reach that point. I dropped to my knees and refused to move any further. And Balaam? Oh, he beat me again, beat me for all he was worth, cursing and complaining and ruining the day he'd bought me. And yes, that was the moment I opened my mouth and spoke. What have I done, I asked, to deserve 3 beatings? He must have been shocked, I said, when he heard those words coming from your mouth. She grinned. That's the interesting thing. He was so angry that I don't think he noticed at all. He just carried on ranting. You've made a fool of me. I'll miss my appointment. If I had a sword, I'd kill you. So I ranted back. Am I not your donkey? Don't you trust me? Have I ever behaved this way before? We were like some old married couple arguing about our years together. I swear I heard the angel chuckle. But when he followed that by clearing his throat, everything changed. Balaam looked up and trembled and then bowed down. And it was clear that this was the first time he'd seen what was really going on. So the angel had been invisible to him, I asked. It must have been, she answered. An honest mistake on part of the angel, I suppose. But it didn't take away the sting of those 3 beatings, a point that the angel proceeded to make on my behalf. Why did you beat your donkey? He asked Balaam. I came to stop you because you were travelling along a reckless path. Your donkey saw me and turned away. If she hadn't, I would certainly have killed you and spared her. So did Balaam apologise to you? I asked. And she snorted. The biggest and longest snort so far. Not likely. No, he was too busy saving his magical, mystical skin. He apologised to the angel, of course, and promised to go back home straight away. But that's not what the angel wanted. No? I asked, curious. No, the angel had obviously been sent by the God of the Israelites, and he had something he wanted Balaam to do. "Go and meet the kings," the angel said, "but only say what I tell you to." "So you went to see the kings?" "We went to see the kings, and that's when everything became clear. Every time they asked my master to curse the people of Israel, he blessed them instead. It was funny, or at least I thought so. I tried to explain it all to the king's horses, but they just stood there and ignored me. "Because you were talking like a human?" I asked. "No," she brayed, "because horses are stuck up. I thought everyone knew that." "Sorry," I apologised. "I didn't." "Not to worry," she hee-hawed. "Anything else you'd like to know?" "Are you still in touch with Balaam?" I asked, and she shook her head. "It was difficult after that. He had trouble getting work. As you can imagine, no one trusted him. My reputation, however, just kept on growing. You'd be amazed at how many people want to see a talking donkey." "So Balaam set you free?" And she threw back her head and laughed, her mouth full of teeth on show. "Set me free? I left. What did I need him for? A man with a whip? Please! And now I talk. People listen. If you must know, I'm the one who cracks the whip. Well, not literally. I couldn't hold one if I wanted to. But when I want something, all I have to do is stamp my hoof and it's there. I couldn't ask for more." And then she laughed again. "Well, of course I could ask. That's the point, isn't it? I'm a talking donkey." "So, do you ever hear from him then?" And there was just the slightest hint of sadness in her eyes. "I didn't for a long while. And then, just last week, I received word that my former master is dead." "No!" "Yes. Seems as if he was desperate for work, any work. So he hooked up with the king of Moab again and was killed in battle by the Israelites. Ironic, isn't it? All that angelic warning gone to waste. Didn't do me any harm though, did it? And, on reflection, it does make me wonder who was the real donkey after all. And with a stamp of her hoof, the story was over and the time for serving had begun. "Now, how about that drink?" she asked. Okay, so we'll do a devotional from the book Indescribable. So this one is called Dinosaurs and Dragons. Oh my! Ephesians, so from the Bible, Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10 to 11. "Be strong in the Lord and in his great power. Wear the full armour of God." Did you know dragons and dinosaurs are in the Bible? Check this out from Job chapter 41. Can you catch Leviathan on a fish hook? If you put one hand on him, you will never forget the battle. He has rows of shields on his back. Flames blaze from his mouth. The sword that hits him does not hurt him. The darts and spears, small and large, do not hurt him. He treats iron as if it were straw. He is a creature without fear. Some people try to say the Leviathan is just a crocodile. But that doesn't sound like any crocodile I've ever seen. Rather, the word dragon comes to mind. And then there's this in Job chapter 40. Look at Behemoth. Look at the strength he has in his body. The muscles of his stomach are powerful. His tail extends like a cedar tree. The muscles of his thighs are woven together. His bones are like tubes of bronze metal. His legs are like bars of iron. Now again, Some people say the behemoth is an elephant. But have you ever seen an elephant with a tail like a cedar tree? God made some amazingly strong things, but the strongest is something he actually makes just for you. It's called the armour of God, and it's stronger than even Leviathan's rows of shields. That's in Job 41, verse 15. This armour has a piece to cover every part of you, including your heart and mind, with the power of God and his truth. It will protect you from the devil and all his lies. So like a knight dressing for battle, put on your armour every day. How? By praying and reading the truth of his word. Thank you, God, for your armour. Teach me how to put it on and wear it every day. Be amazed. The acid in your stomach is so powerful it can melt metal. But an armour of mucus protects your stomach lining and keeps the acid in your tummy where it belongs. So the acid breaks down only what it's supposed to. I'm going to finish with prayer. So join me if you wish. Let's pray. Dear God, thank you for this time together. Thank you that we can read these books and enjoy this time. Thank you for the beautiful weather. That means we can be outside doing this at this time. Thank you for all of the things that we have done today. Thank you for the blessings, and thank you for all that you have provided us with today. Amen. Thank you for joining me. Join me again on Sunday for Junior Church. Have a good couple of days. Take care, stay safe, and now I'm going to stuff my cheeky biscuit.